Right, I'll give it 10 seconds to do its thing. Then I'll start the video after about 10 seconds. Okay, so I think this video is a bit live right now. So this is actually a stream, but it's more like a explanatory video. So I'm going to do a summary of all the arcanas here, and I'm going to explain all my thoughts about arcanas, general tips about arcanas for AOV. This really applies to new players because arcanas are really costly. Level 3 arcanas cost 2000 gold a piece. So I don't really want any new players, especially those who come from MLBB, to just waste their gold on useless arcanas. So there are definitely differences between good arcanas and arcanas that are completely useless. So for arcana that are completely useless, you generally don't use them across any heroes. So you don't really ever buy those. And those are just a trap to get like players to buy them. So I don't know why like they even exist. Some arcanas are really bad. So I'm just going to do a quick summary of all my thoughts on the arcana. So first, before I jump into specifics for the arcana, I will advise all of you guys to do this. So whenever you want to pick up a hero, you go to the hero page here. This REC means recommended. So this is the recommended arcana page for the hero itself, but you don't use this thing on the first page. Alright, you go to recommended, you don't use this immediately, you don't press the use button. You go here, alright, you press this arrow, and you go to this guy over here, the server best level, or you go to this guy and this guy. So these three guys over here are the top 3 users of this level in this season, or sorry, on this week. So this list is going to refresh every week. So make sure that you take the arcana from them instead of this default one on the front page, or whatever one you decide to use. If you are not familiar with the hero mechanics and you are new to the hero, I always recommend players coming over to here and using the arcanas of the top players, because they actually know what they are doing. The recommended page here, or things like the most used arcana setup, these are not really reliable. So you only generally use things, the arcana sets by the server best. Okay, so shameless plug here. Currently let's see, for Caphany, I have an arcana page here. So for Caphany, I have an arcana page for Lubu. Alright, Lubu. I have an arcana page for Crickneck as well. Let's see, Crickneck. I have a arcana page for Valheim. Any other things? Arcana page for Saphira as well. So those are the main heroes that are currently spam quite a lot in rank. So you can take those from me. And my arcana setup can be quite unconventional at times, which is why I'm recommending everybody to take a look. Because I don't really, my builds are and arcana setup are quite unconventional for a reason, because I actually done the math behind them. So I've did a lot of videos previously explaining all the math around the AOV mechanics and stuff, so you can take a look. The audio might not be the best, but I think the content is good. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into arcana. My thoughts about all the arcanas. So let's jump straight into a level 3, because level 2 and level 1 are completely useless. So you never actually put arcana into your arcana page unless they are at least level 3. Alright, level 2 arcana just won't cut it. There's a huge jump in power from level 2 to level 3. So only use level 3 arcanas. Alright, let's start from the attack. Okay, the first one will be Enlighten. You never ever buy this. Alright, it's not worth it for a reason. Ability power, okay, actually I will talk about both these arcanas at the same time, since they are the same concept. One increase your AP, one increase your AD. So why is AP and AD generally not preferred over Pierce, over Armor Pierce or Magic Pierce? It's because they don't scale. Alright, 5.3 ability power might be a lot in the early game when nobody have any items yet. Just I'll give an example of an AP item, Boomstick. Boomstick X 240 AP. At 10 of an Enlighten adds 53. So 5.3 times 10 is 53, right? So that's 1/5 of an item. And you realize that this item completely does not scale well into a late game. You want item that scale well into a late game. What scales well into a late game? Things like pierce, things like critical chance. Those can add on to your current stats. It is multiplied by your current stats, but fixed ability power or fixed attack damage does not scale at all. So in the late game, after you get, it's not even in the late game, in the mid game, after you get 1 or 2 items, these 2 items will be completely useless. So that's why nobody goes for Enlighten or Obliterate, and everybody goes for Armor Pierce or Magic Pierce. Okay, so on to my next point. So from my previous point, I mean, this Onslaught over here, and this is one of the most common arcanas, mostly used for warriors. Okay, people that don't rely on their normal attacks. Just use this for all the guys that don't rely on their normal attacks. So those like warriors, attack damage carries like warriors. You don't use this on marksman because marksman rely on auto attack and need the critical chance. So generally very good for warriors. Okay, this bloodlust thingy, whatever. The problem with this is it adds normal attacks, and normal attack is just not that useful. It adds lifesteal, which is a very good stats to have, but it also add the normal attack component is wasted. So don't get this item because the gold value is quite low for this arcana. And next will be Violate. It adds magic pierce. So I've talked about this before. The concept is similar to Onslaught. Okay, all of the mages use this. This is a go-to for all your mages. So if you want to play a mage, this will be the most important raid arcana you want to get. Okay, next will be Conjure. I'm not sure what this is for, but the main reason that this thing is not useful is because it adds ability power and it also adds attack speed. So most mages do not require attack speed, which is why this item is completely useless in my opinion. It does not add pierce. It has no stats that actually can scale well into a late game. Okay, next will be Devour. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should go by color instead. I'm not sure. Brilliance. Actually, yeah, I should go by color. Okay, sorry about all of this. So, I'll start with the raid since I've started with raid previously. Okay, so Enlighten, I've talked about this. Obliterate, I've talked about this. Onslaught, Bloodlust, Rampage. Okay, I talked about Bloodlust, so let's continue with Rampage. Okay, this is good for your marksman because I've said before, you want either crit chance or crit damage on your marksman because they rely a lot on auto attacks. These stacks actually scale into a late game. Alright, so unlike AD, fixed AD, this is a multiplier to your current stats, so it scales well. Okay, you want arcana, I cannot reinstate this enough. You want you want arcana that have stats that scale well into a late game. Alright, like critical chance, like lifesteal, all this scales really well. Next will be Indomitable. Oh, I have a video explaining whether you want Atrocity or whether you want Rampage. Okay, so I have a video extensively covering this as quite a big concept. So because it involves quite a lot of math, so I've done the math and actually showed you the results on a separate video. So I'm not going to explain here because this video is for arcanas. Next will be Indomitable. This will be good for your tanky Slayer laners and your supports. So what do I mean by tanky Slayer laners? People like Arthur, people like Omen, you can consider using this. So people that add like a frontliner rather than jumping onto a backline. So if you have an Irie as a DS laner, obviously you won't use this, you will use Onslaught because your job is to destroy the backline but not to tank the frontline. But if you are somebody like Arthur, your job is to tank the front line because it's hard for you to assassinate the back line. So for people who likes tanking at the front line, this is going to be the go-to arcana for you. So this is one of the most popular raid arcana to use. Okay, next will be Violate. I've talked about this, Magic Pierce. And I've also talked about Conjure, just never ever get this. Okay, next will be Atrocity. So this is just like a Rampage, it adds crit chance instead of crit damage. So you either want this or Rampage or your marksman, and this is one of the most important arcanas to get. Cause oh my god, Sorry, let me disable all my invites so that I don't get interrupted. Sorry about this. I should have thought about this properly. So for future videos, I'll make sure to do this. By color. Okay. Okay, next will be your blitz. So this is, I would say, a tier 2. Alright, this is not the core arcana to get. Atrocity, Rampage, Violate, Indomitable, all these are core arcanas. This arcana, just get it if you have extra gold, alright, because it's not needed. It's only needed for Valheim specifically. So Valheim and Hayate, I don't use this arcana set for any other heroes. So, and that's the reason why I only have 8 copies of it, because I don't want to waste my gold on it. I feel like 8 is enough. So because this is not a core arcana, I would recommend everybody to get all of this arcana above before you get this arcana. So why is this arcana not really useful? It's because crit chance is generally preferred over attack speed, because you can get a lot of items that increase your attack speed in the game, but not crit chance. And the math behind this is actually a bit hard to explain. So most marksmen, you actually want to prioritize crit chance and not attack speed. But for Valheim and Hayate, you need attack speed. Alright, because it's hard to describe this. It involves quite a lot of math, so I'm not going to explain this. But generally, just get this if you have extra gold. And only 2 marksmen use it, which is Hayate and Valheim. So if you don't plan on using those heroes, then don't get this. But I still recommend you get this because Hayate and Valheim is one of the meta marksmen in this, one of the better marksmen in this current meta. Next will be the purple arcana. Alright, Colossus. The thing about HP is that they don't scale well in the early game. Okay, just keep in mind. I already said this enough times. I'm not going to say this again. One last time I reiterate. You want stats that can scale. HP does not scale. And okay, once you get a Gaia standard, which is 1200 HP, then 750 HP is not going to mean much to you. Alright, so in the mid game, this 750 HP is not going to be significant for you. Okay, next will be Sep. Okay, this is Magic Lifesteal, one of the most important purple arcana, because mages need quite a bit of sustain in lane. So I tend to give my mages some Magic Lifesteal so that they don't have to keep going back to base. And this also scales well. Okay, Lifesteal in general just scale well. So one of the most important arcanas. Next will be Reef, also one of the most important, because you need it on all your AD carries and even some Slayer laners that rely a lot on the auto attacks. So keep in mind that your skills cannot lifesteal. Okay, only auto attack can lifesteal. So if you are somebody like Kilgroth, you can consider Reef. But if you are somebody that rely on the skills like Arthur, then Reef is going to be completely useless to you. Okay, next will be Tyrant. This is also like Blitz, is a tier 2 arcana. You only get it if you have extra gold. Cause I only use this on, I only use a bit of this arcana. Notice that I only have 6 of them. So I don't have 10 of them. I don't have any hero that uses 10 of these. So the most I've used is like 2 or 3. Okay, the heroes that use this are Crickneck and let's see, and Arthur. Wait. Oh, you want heroes that rely on the auto attacks and should be tanky as well. So examples are like Emily. Emily needs to be tanky because she needs to have quite a lot of HP. Also, she needs a crit chance to burst the enemy down because she relies a lot on the auto attacks. So you can give this to somebody like Emily. You can also give this to somebody like Kilgroth, because Kilgroth needs to be tanky and he needs the crit chance as well. Overall, this is a tier 2 purple arcana. Okay, next will be Undying. Okay, the problem with this arcana is HP. The problem with this arcana is its stats are good. Okay, stats are pretty decent, I would say, and it doesn't really scale well. So that's going to be a problem. But the stats are not too bad. But there's a reason why this arcana nobody ever uses this. Okay, because it's actually superseded by another arcana. I will skip the explanation. Okay, next will be Feast. The problem with this is it adds magic defense, which is a stats that doesn't scale. So generally, it's superseded by the the set. Okay, this adds lifesteal, which can scale well, but this adds a bit of magic defense, which completely does not scale. So the magic defense is significant in the early game, like before 3 minutes, but after that it's completely useless. Okay, next will be Devour. Again, why is this superseded by the set? It's because generally ability power and attack damage does not scale well, so never ever get arcanas that have those stats. Next will be your benevolence, and this is the reason that the other one, this arcana over here, both colossus, first is the colossus, second is the undying. Why are these two arcanas like irrelevant? Because it's superseded by this arcana, which is benevolence. Okay, what's so good about this arcana? It adds HP, okay, a bit of HP. It adds HP per second. Okay, that's good. But it adds the most crucial component of this arcana is the movement speed. Okay, very few arcanas in this game offer movement speed. Specifically, only 3 arcanas: Guerrilla, Benevolence, and the last one is Assassinate. And movement speed is one of the most important stats to have, because it does not scale, but it is relevant across the entire game. Okay, so and skills as well. Sorry about that, because when you buy boots, this movement speed adds on to the base movement speed by your boots, so it skills as well. Now, why is movement speed important? I don't have to explain this, because you literally, it's not like crit chance. You don't just use it when you're attacking, you use it throughout the game, because throughout the game obviously you have to move, right? So yeah, you are applying this when you're rotating. You really need this stats wherever you are moving. Okay, you are relying on the movement speed, so you are making use of this stat. So movement speed, one most important arcana to have. And also, okay, I will talk about these 3 together. Okay, so all of these 3 arcana over here offer movement speed: Assassinate, Benevolence, and Guerrilla. So these 2 arcanas are mostly, they add attack speed, they add normal attack, so AD attack damage, but none of that add HP. So this is going to be really good for your supports. Almost every support use this. So if you plan to be a support main, this is your number 1 purple arcana to get. Okay, if you are an assassin, then you might consider this arcana as well. But for most people, okay, Guerrilla is one of the most important, okay, purple arcana to have besides Benevolence. I say that apart from Benevolence, okay, these 2, Magic Lifesteal and Lifesteal, are like tier 2. Okay, this Tyrant is tier 3, and I will consider Benevolence and Guerrilla tier 1 arcanas, purple arcanas. Okay, I've explained my reasoning for this, because a support player really needs the movement speed and really needs the HP. And why is Guerrilla preferred? I prefer Guerrilla over Assassinate. And why is that the case? It's because attack speed can scale, but attack damage cannot scale. Okay, think about this. Right, in the late game, a level, his AD is probably going to be 500. Okay, a level in the early game without any items, his AD is like 10 or so, something like that, some ridiculously small number. So attack speed adds on to your attack damage. It's a multiplier to your attack damage, but the fixed attack damage is not. Okay, which is why attack speed will scale, but attack damage will not scale. Okay, and for this reason, I prefer Guerrilla over Assassinate for almost all the heroes, except there's one AD hero that cannot use Guerrilla, which is Superman. Superman does not rely on his auto attack at all. Okay, this non-empowered auto attack. Superman does not rely on that at all. So only Superman will use Assassinate. For all your other people, even for heroes like Crickneck, you are not really using the normal attack component. You might think that you are not using it, but in the early game when you're clearing your jungle, you need to spam it a lot, because you don't have your skills. At level 1, you're definitely going to auto attack a lot, right? So that's why I prefer Guerrilla over attack damage, because this normal attack 1.6, if you multiply it by 10 is 16, right? 16 AD is going to be completely useless in the mid game after you get a few attack items. And that is why I generally prefer Gorilla over Assassinate for all circumstances. Okay, next I will jump on to the Green Arcana. So again, why do I never ever get things like armor, things like magic defense? Okay, these two, because they don't scale, and that's the core idea of this video. I want to drive this message across, and that is the importance of scaling stats that scale. You don't ever want to get Arcana with stats that does not scale. Okay, next will be Valiance. Okay, this is one of the most important Arcana, but there is a reason I do not get it, because it's actually superseded by another Arcana. Okay, next Prowess, add magic defense, so automatically that's a useless Arcana. Okay, the Hex, why is it bad? It's because it's superseded by another Arcana, and it adds ability power which does not scale. Okay, next will be your Skewer. So this adds your armor pierce. Flurry adds magic pierce. So as I explained before, pierce scales into a late game, and that's the reason why this is one of the most important green Arcanas to have. Okay, I'll rate this tier 1 Arcana, green Arcanas. Okay, next jump on to Consume. Okay, this adds armor, so it's a useless stat, which is why I don't get it. And the last one will be Crusader, one of the worst Arcana. Actually, it's not one of the worst. It adds armor and magic defense, again, which is completely useless. So, why I've talked about a few Arcanas before, like Valiance and let's see, Hex. Okay, why are they not like sought after? Why are they useless? It's because there's this Arcana over here which is Focus. And why is this Arcana better than all of this? It's because when I jump into things like Crusader, I see stats that does not scale. Okay, cooldown skills. Okay, keep in mind cooldown skills, because as your ability gets stronger into a late game, having more cooldown means that you can spam them, so they are multiplier to your ability. But raw stats like armor, raw stats like magic defense are not a multiplier, they are direct addition. Okay, so cooldown is generally preferred over any other stats, okay, besides magic pierce, besides pierce. And why do I always get Focus over something like Valiance? So Valiance and Focus are the only viable cooldown Arcana, cooldown green Arcanas that you should consider. But why do I prefer Focus over Valiance? Because HP stats does not scale very well. Okay, it scales, but it does not scale very well. Why does it scale? Because as you get more armor, your damage reduction goes up, and your HP, the more HP you have, how do I put this? If your damage reduction is 90%, so you're never going to get a 90% damage reduction, but let's say your damage reduction is 90%, or you have some skills that can negate damage, okay, then 100 HP is going to mean a lot. But then if you have nothing of the sort, no damage reduction, then 100 HP is just, people are just going to melt the 100 HP. So my point is that because of damage reduction, your HP stats can actually scale, okay, and your damage reduction will definitely go up in the late game because you are getting more and more armor. But there's a reason why, because the Focus, okay, I'm not phrasing this the best because I'm doing this video a very ad hoc basis. I don't have any script or anything of the sort. But generally, cooldown speed scales better. Cooldown scales better than HP. Okay, there's a point to be made for this on tanks. Okay, but generally I prefer Focus because you can also use Focus for your mages. You are definitely not going to use Valiance for your mages. Okay, because mage do not need the HP. Alright, they need the movement speed, they need the HP regen, but they do not need raw HP stats. Okay, so the fact that you can use Focus for both tanks and mages makes it the go-to Arcana for me. Okay, so there is a point to be made for Valiance, because you might argue that the HP is really important for tanks. Personally, in my opinion, I disagree with that, but the math behind it is quite complex. So I'm not going to just like say that this is better without any evidence. Okay, so you can have your own opinion, I have my own opinion, but I've done the math on this. So my opinion on tanks is that you should go Focus, but there is a point to be made for Valiance as well. So the difference is actually not really that great, so you can also use this. But keep in mind that if you buy Valiance, alright, all your mages have to go for this flurry, okay, because you won't have the focus available. Personally, I go for focus because you can use it on mage as well. So for people like the L'Oreal, you actually need focus because she does true damage. For people like Lifesteal, you can choose focus as well because Lifesteal also does true damage. And he generally, Lifesteal is like, he's not really a real mage. He's more of a, how to say, he's a CC mage, right? So he does not need to do damage. He just has to CC. So for those heroes that just have to CC, it's better to get this instead. Also, this is important for supports that don't rely on the HP stats. Things like Alice, okay, Alice and Roy. You are definitely not going to go to a front to scout for vision. You are not going to be at the front line tanking all the damage. You are going to backline providing support. Okay, so you need to spam your skills rather than tank damage. So in those cases, focus is better than valiance. And if you buy valiance, then you won't have it for Alice and Roy. But the thing is, focus is also good on tanky supports. Okay, you can use focus for all your supports, but you cannot use valiance for all your supports. Okay, and that is the reason why I go for focus, because it's way more versatile. Alright, and that concludes the end of this stream. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this stream / video explaining all these arcanas in detail. So the most important concept I want to drive to you and summarize is that you want stats that skill. And what are stats that skill? Armor pierce, magic pierce, lifesteal, critical chance, and movement speed. Okay, and prioritize those stats over anything else. And I'll put a link in the description below for how to calculate the goal efficiency of arcana. Goal efficiency. Okay, so I've calculated goal efficiency for both items and arcanas, and I can provide all the link below so they can take a look. And why is it more important to get arcanas that are more goal efficient? I don't have to explain that, right? Because they are providing the same stats equivalent to you for a higher goal amount. So by getting them, you are getting more value in your arcana. So that is why goal efficiency is a great point of reference for new players, and you can directly see why arcanas like valiance is just generally not preferred over focus, because focus have a higher goal value compared to valiance. Okay, so with that I end this video. Okay, hope you learned a lot from this video. Enjoyed this video a lot. I don't need to like or anything. I just appreciate it if more people get better awareness of this game. So with that, thanks for watching and have a nice day.